had a bit of a problem in that game.
I don't think it's ban-worthy. I don't think a Malphite against Wickd is ban-worthy.
Oh no,
you know?
absolutely
I
not.
don't think that's something we should be concerned.
I completely agree with you on that one. Trust me.
The one thing I am noticing, I think Millenium may want to get their hands on the likes of an Annie or a Thresh for that Jree. Alternatively, they want to maybe channel Araneae onto Vi. It's a champion he's played excessively, and I think his Vi might be stronger than that of Shooks. You know, suits his play style and arguably one of the most experienced players with that champion in the jungle.
Well, Gragas and Kassadin taken away. So Kassadin continues to be, I believe, the most banned champion so far in the European LCS. Because, of course, the one time he did slip through, well, it absolutely dominated last Super Week.
EU.
In EU.
Less so in North America.
Yeah, North America, haven't quite got grasp of that one yet. Apart from High, of course. He definitely seems to have. And Bjergsen. Let's go there. But he's European. Vi is the final ban out, so that is going to be taken away from Araneae. So this actually opens up the jungle path, really, for a whole new array of champions, because that's 3 junglers, technically 4, because Gragas has also been played jungle by Araneae.
I'd like to see how they actually go with these jungle, which champion they want to play, because we may see a little bit of resurgence in Amumu, and the reason for that, all of the jungle items and the Spirit Stone now give HP and mana back for, you know, damage dealt. It's a small tweak that just opens up the jungle pool to a little bit of a wider array of champions, and I'd like to see how it goes. I think, you know, Amumu's been one that was very popular during the last few months in EU, and it wouldn't surprise me to see it picked up here. More likely on the side of Alliance, I think, than Millenium, basically because I don't think it's Aranea's kind of bread and butter champion.
So Annie was locked in there. We talked about it. It was banned 11 times last week. Has a great win ratio, so that's been picked up there straight away. Lucian and Leona being taken away for Tabzz and Nyph on support. So interesting change this time around. We did see Tabzz on Caitlyn a number of times last year. Didn't work out so well for him last week.
I'm very excited to see, first of all, the transition to the newer AD carries, like you've already mentioned. Tabzz moving away from Caitlyn because she is outclassed by Lucian and Jinx. You can see we've already highlighted Annie and Leona are locked in, Jinx, Lucian are locked in, exactly like we've been talking about all day long. And the Pantheon is a great pick because it forces Alliance to say, is that in the jungle or is it in the mid lane?
Yeah.
You know, last week we've seen Rocket running it in the mid lane and it worked out fantastically for Overpower. We've seen it run in the jungle a couple of times, actually in North America, more so than here. Hercubot actually ran it for SK Gaming last year in the summer split, and it suits Aranea's playstyle. So now Alliance have to make an educated decision about which direction they want to go.
Well, has Froggen changed his pace? That's what we're wondering. Or this could, of course, be Shook, because Shook's played this. It was last Super Week, actually, he played it in the jungle. So see whether Kha'Zix does get locked in. I'm almost certain that's going to be Shook in jungle, but Froggen could have changed his ways.
He could have. But I think the trend of EU red teams leaving their mid pick to last pick, I think is going to be stronger. And I also think the fact that Renekton as a bruiser is very strong in the top right now because, you know, Shyvana's been hit a little bit and he can sort of deal with Mundo in the early game, get a little bit of an advantage and try to stay even. Wickd being on Renekton is already a strong sign because he is stronger on that champion. He can have an impact in the game. So I like what I'm seeing from Alliance, but it is going to require coordination in team fights. And I highlight this because they struggled with this last week. They're going to make sure that Renekton and Kha'Zix jump on the right target, that Leona ults. And if they're not there to defend together, there's not a lot of synergy with that Leona ultimate and stun's not there.
Well, you saw it there. LeBlanc has been picked. Actually was played well by Kerp last week. Probably the only person, I think, in the European LCS that actually did well on LeBlanc last week. And now we do see Shen once again. So has played Shen last week. Worked out very well for him. So it's going to be a Shen versus Renekton potential 2v1 switch here.
Potential 2v1, potentially not because of the tower changes.
Of course.
Because now, of course, your middle and top lane turrets have that 20 damage reduction from champion basic attack. So if we are going to see a 2v1 swap, there's the potential of it being at the detriment of, you know, the lanes being pushed down. The bonus armor that was applied prior is no longer there. So technically the towers only last a minute or two longer. It's not going to be a massive change, and we'll see whether or not the teams are going to transition. But what I do like from the LeBlanc pick is it forces Froggen to lock in a champion that's safe, because if he goes with a squishy AP mid laner, he's going to be at risk of being burst down by LeBlanc. So normally you don't want to lock in that LeBlanc early because you can get countered, but when you're forcing somebody to avoid squishies, it's actually a very aggressive in-your-face pick, and I like it.
So Orianna was the final choice, of course, so that does mean these two team comps actually are fairly similar. We are seeing Millenium pulling out some interesting strats, though. The fact that we are seeing Pantheon in the jungle excites me. Alongside Shen, with Kerp possibly making a move, this is a potential 5-man dive.
This is a definite 5-man dive. There's no doubt in my mind. This is actually a variation of the Curse composition that we seen last week. Curse ran a Karthus top lane, Wukong jungle, if I recall, as well as the LeBlanc mid, and they comboed their ultimates together, chained them one after the other. The global presence of the different champions picked off a target and immediately, chased them down. What I like about Millenium is they can use it aggressively and defensively. Because if they want to dive, you use the Shen ultimate to aid your dive. If you want to back away or if you need to save somebody, use the Shen ultimate to save. So I like the versatility, but it does require a lot of coordination on their part. They cannot afford to make mistakes with those global ultimates.
So we'll check out who is going to take this game, and we want to know who you guys at home have predicted. According to lolesports.com, 52% of you went for Millenium instead of Alliance, so 48% for Alliance. That's interesting, and that's the crowd swaying straight away after that 0-4.
This is a difficult one to predict. Both of these teams are sitting at the bottom of the table, 1-3, 0-4. I actually think that's a fair representation. I feel that Millenium did more right last week, and Alliance did more wrong. So I do feel that sort of 55-45 split works out for them, and it's going to come down to execution in this game. I think both teams require a high level of coordination for their comps to work, and we'll see who pulls it off better.
And this is, of course, a huge, huge game for both of these teams. Millenium themselves actually not here next week because they'll go off to Intel Extreme Masters Sao Paulo, so they have to try and pick up wins, or they could find themselves, by the time they return back from Brazil, at the bottom of the pile. Of course, Alliance, well, they need their first win and the first victory they are desperately seeking. Of course, coming into this game, we saw Millenium, they are starting as the blue team. Of course, all of these teams have a rotation fixed, preset, effectively a home and away, I guess you could call it, with the blue and red sides, and of course Alliance are on the red side. So, will we see any invades? It's looking like we may well.
Yeah, Millenium definitely looks like they've want to invade, and they've got the much stronger composition for this to work. Multiple stuns and roots and CC that could be chained together. I don't think that Wicked's seen this. This is such a cheeky root. If Wickd gets caught out, he's backed away wisely enough. But that was smart play from Millenium. They avoided the vision circle and actually came in from a slightly different angle.
Yeah, they definitely could have gone for it, and obviously if they'd have had vision, maybe to get just waited that little bit longer so they could lead with a ward, maybe. I don't know. We could have seen a flash Tabzz. No, not a flash Tabzz, a flash stun straight away coming out. Flash Tabzz would kind of be broken from Jree, but that's not going to happen.
Well, I would like to actually touch on the fact that Jree's Annie has actually had a little bit of tweaks in patch 4.1. The stun has been reduced at lower levels. It's currently only 1.25 seconds and will scale up to 1.75 at rank 11. Level 11, rather. But interestingly, Tabzz has a shorter cooldown as it levels up. So I actually think Annie's presence in the mid to late game is going to be even stronger thanks to having that Tabzz rotation on an 80-second cooldown at max rank.
Well, we'll see, of course. There's not a lot of maneuverability in that bottom lane. The fact that obviously we can see Jinx has no escape, which is the movement that a lot of the AD carries do like, which is obviously why we're seeing Lucian being so big. A lot of those high mobility champions. The fact that Leona is there could lock that lane up completely.
Yeah, Leona is actually a very good pick into Annie because of the fact that she can just all-in Annie or Jinx at a very low level, and all the bonus damage from her passive in conjunction with the low-level burst from Lucian can work very, very well. But the key to that to work is you have to get aggressive, and Tabzz and Nyph did not do that at all last week. Tabzz and Nyph got bullied around, got zoned out, and as it stands right now, Jree's leaving that stun ratio on Annie just to push Tabzz and Nyph back, and this is already a good sign for Millenium.
Well, there wasn't a lot of assistance there for Araneae in the jungle, which is why we're seeing him down on the health and mana. Of course, he started off on the red buff. Shook started off on the blue, already moving around to the red. We see Araneae already out the blue. So both of these junglers securing those big buffs early on. The Elder Lizard and the Elder Golem trying to lock that one in. Let's have a look at the top lane, because these two... This is what we've been looking at so much last week. It was a battle of the big bruisers. And again, we're seeing similar here. This time, though, Shen up against Renekton. Not really a combo we saw last week.
Well, Shen is already going to be, in a disadvantage at the early levels. Renekton is a very big lane bully. And there's already talk on the forums from the designers of how they can rebalance some of that power. So what Wickd needs to do is he has to take advantage of the strength. You can see in the first game of 4.1, you have straight-up matchups, 1, 1, and 2, because of these tower changes is the most logical reason. So we'll have to see if Wickd can take advantage of it and either bully Kevin around or try get some assistance from Shook and get a little bit of damage early, because these towers will last a little longer now.
And now, of course, this mid lane, we do see the Crystalline Flash start by Kerp as well with that Biscuit as well. And Froggen, obviously going with the Doran's Ring. He's going to be pushing early on. Froggen wants to try and put the pressure onto Kerp here, try and bully him onto that tower, but it's actually quite hard to slow down LeBlanc. If it's a good player, hard to slow down that CS.
Yeah, because of the mobility that LeBlanc does have, she can try to avoid a lot of the poke from Froggen, but generally you don't want to engage in low-level trades with Orianna. Her Clockwork wind-up passive, the additional magic damage in each auto attack, really stacks up quickly, and LeBlanc's auto attack is not the best. It's difficult to work around with. So Kerp, only 3 down, is actually very impressive for him so far. Froggen can't risk going past the river because of the stun and the execute potential of Pantheon.
Well, Araneae has been waiting a long time to try and get this gank in this mid lane. Not going to work out for him, though, so he's already stepped away. Let's have a look at this bottom lane, because there's a bit of a gulf starting to develop here. You can see Creaton having that CS advantage, 29 to 15 already. That's a big difference over Tabzz building up once again.
Dare I say it, this is the 5th time we've seen this. Tabzz and Nyph have not had the presence in lane, and the only way they will get control of this lane is if they all in Jree or Creaton and win the trade. Jree from level 1, he'd primed his stun up with Annie, and he was forcing Tabzz and Nyph to wait, forcing him to stay out of range of that Annie stun. And until they either get some help or they go, all in, this is just going to continue, and you'll see Creaton pulling ahead in CS.
Yeah, and you can see Tabzz there having to do the auto attack, something you almost always learn before you even hit level 30. Is like, don't keep auto attacking, just go for the last hits. He's trying to keep them off that tower, of course, because we're in 4.1. Those bottom towers, they have no bonuses anymore.
Yeah, without having the bonus armor that we've seen in 3.15, we were speaking to Deficio a little bit, and he was actually saying that he reckons if you back at the wrong time or you give up too much damage early on these towers in the bottom lanes, they could actually fall quicker. They could be the focus of the first tower for teams. And we'll see if it works out. As it stands, Creaton is quite happy to be farming and quite happy to just push Tabzz and Nyph behind, although it is only 8 CS right now.
It is only 8 CS, of course. There's just ebb and flow going back and forth. Araneae has been searching for one of these ganks early on. He's been trying to hunt around that mid lane, didn't get it. Now you can see him down that bottom, still not looking like he's going to get it. He's getting a lot closer this time around, though.
Yeah, his timing is great because Tabzz and Nyph are gesturing as though they want to go all in. Look at how deep Nyph is in the lane. You can also see Shook responding. They've gone on Nyph.
They're going to try and go on towards Nyph, but I don't think they can get it. They do get the stun on towards Tabzz, immediately reacted. Nyph goes straight in. Look at the damage quickly towards Araneae. The Ignite will take him down. It's Nyph with first blood.
Brilliant play. Nyph calling, go in on Araneae. Pantheon is so squishy early. The Flame Chompers have also had a little bit of a change. And now Kerp on Froggen, they should be okay. Shockwave, don't think there's enough mana for Froggen.
No, you can see Kerp actually was the one that went for it, and Froggen quickly turning that back on its head. Shook also taking a look towards the mid lane now. He was actually able to go towards the middle, but they put the ward there.
Yeah, Shook definitely wants to come in. He's going to leap in.
He's going to leap. Can he get the damage? No, he can't. He does manage to get the claw and the void spikes fall onto Kerp, but he's going to knock him away. Straight back down that bottom lane. We see Tabzz getting locked up. The stun comes in. Nyph interrupting, trying to get into face of Jree. And this is actually a very hot lane now.
Yeah, very well played by Alliance in that initial sort of counter gank, as it were. Shook is placing a good ward now to know when Araneae is going to go for his red. But, I just want to quickly touch those Flame Chompers. The reaction time is a little bit longer than it was previously, which is why you could actually see Tabzz and Nyph getting away from the stun chain, which wasn't optimized between Pantheon and Annie. They stack their durations, and they could have held Tabzz in place a little bit longer there.
Well, double warding on that red buff. Shook's going to know that he's there. Of course, Froggen is going to be taking this blue buff if they don't mess it up, which they were close to doing there. But you can see Araneae. Actually, this we're going to see whether Shook's going to come interfering. No, he's not. He's going to head back to Wolves, so that red buff will stay clean. Araneae will be able to pick that one up. Let's have a look back towards the top, because we can see Wickd starting to develop a bit of a lead here. 63 to 49 CS.
It's what we're expecting. In this lane matchup, this is one that Renekton should be winning. I actually think Kevin is doing fairly well because he's 15 down. He's got probably about 10 sitting in front of him, so he should be able to last hit these quite effectively. And now the fact that he's got Stand United available and Araneae is getting close to that Grand Skyfall Pantheon's ultimate, we should actually be seeing the combo, the Wombo combo, as Rocket would say, coming into effect. It's a great ability that two of the champions can move, and Shook with the first sort of attempted steal.
So he actually knew exactly where Araneae was. Knew that he was on the red a moment ago. Had a complete vision of him. Araneae is coming round, but this is going to be for LeBlanc. He's stolen it. He's gone. Shook has hit and run.
And very good play by Wickd. He'd actually moved to the tri-bush to prevent Kevin moving from lane. So Renekton would have been able to interrupt Shen and prevented any sort of interference in that steal. That's actually the first coordinated steal, I think I would say, between Shook and Wickd. And it is a very good sign in these early stages. Shook with an extra buff. He's going to get a little bit extra XP, but no real gank attempts from Shook just yet. Little presence in mid, but not the strongest.
Yeah, and it just shows you how far ahead these guys are thinking, how far they're setting it up. Of course, that ward was placed a good 2-3 minutes before that action even began, because the ward's already worn off now down the bottom lane there. So nice play from Shook. Shook's starting to get into this, and of course we hyped him up quite heavily. Oh, look at Araneae waiting. He's got his Grand Skyfall now, so we're going to see whether he's going to go for it. He's jumping on Froggen. Can he land the stun? No, Froggen immediately getting away. He does get the stun. Is the burst? No, because the flash gets him straight out.
So well played by Froggen to at least realize that he was under threat. I think Kerp was way too far behind. They needed to make that a little bit more coordinated for it to work, and I think half a good attempt, maybe timing was what cost that one for Millenium.
So CS is still in favor of Creaton down this bottom lane, 81-69. Of course, Tabzz will swing that back a little. Oh, they missed the siege minion there. That's not so good for Tabzz. That's going to fall in behind in gold. Of course, we do see the item-wise. He went for the Phage early on, whereas a BF sword coming out straight up for Creaton.
The biggest difference between this bottom lane, I actually think, is in the supports. Nyph having that sight stone already completed, plus his door and shield, he's further ahead than Jree. And in these all-ins, he's going to have the vision to play within the river. You can see how much better the Alliance ring of sight is, and he's going to have additional HP to work with. So I really like that. They have caught Froggen, but Shook is coming in from behind.
Oh, but he gets spotted out by the ward. He might jump towards Kerp. No, it's just going to keep him at bay, and Froggen's going to keep that CS pushing. Looks like Shook's going to go for the invade Pantheon. Araneae has backed off, but again, Shook is all over Araneae's jungle.
Yeah, Shook is expending a lot of his gold on wards, and he's roaming around the map. I mean, that's the second time we've seen him invading the red. We've seen multiple wards up on the blue side of Millenium. It is helping Alliance develop this lead. They're 1,600, 400 gold ahead. You can see a CS lead for both Wickd and Froggen, and it's a good position. And Shook, once again, he's looking for a gank on this bottom lane. Solar Flare is available for Nyph, and that's where I think they're going to open up with it. There he goes.
Yeah, they're trying to catch on there. Solar Flare does catch a great stun. Queen leaping across there. Shook, of course, he evolved the wings. Has to pop his ultimate to try and back away from this one because it's a good turnaround. Kevin with that Stand United helping out and doing a lot of the counter work there. That is going to be 50 gold still for Tabzz, though, because Tibbers goes down. It's a big gold.
That's exactly what we talked about in Picks and Bans, how Millenium's composition can be used both aggressively and defensively. What's very important for Alliance, though, Stand United's down. So once these lanes reset and champions go back to their original homes, as it were, they can just repeat that combo, land the Solar Flare, get the culling down, and I think Alliance should be able to start getting a control of that bottom lane. At 12 minutes, for only a couple hundred HP to be taken off this tower, you can already see what an impact this damage reduction is having in the metagame.
Yeah, it means he can run away from it. I'm surprised, actually, Wickd didn't maybe go with teleport to just follow Kevin. Every time he would use that Stand United, go back down there with him. Maybe just feeling that split push maybe isn't required. And obviously, Wicked's not really one of those players, but it does look like Dragon is being set up here.
So with Dragon being started off here by Alliance, they actually have the numbers advantage. They know there's no Stand United. You can see Shen's left the lane. So Alliance are going to secure the first Dragon of the game here, unless Araneae gets a good steal. But this was such intelligent decision-making. They knew the ultimate wasn't there. They knew they had a numbers advantage, and that was a very easy pickup for Alliance.
So maybe we're starting to see the first signs for Alliance. Of course, they have a 2,000 gold advantage. They have taken the first Dragon of the game. Of course, you saw the stats. They only took, 3 of 13 in the first 3 games. The other game, of course, was with Fnatic, where they did have the advantages, but they were losing towers. This time around, they are still pressured on that bottom lane, but all the other lanes are looking good so far for Alliance.
I would dare say the fact that they've got that BF Sword and Phage is going to help out. And Deficio, you are a wise man. It's almost as if you played this game at a pro level.
Well, if they hit the tower, of course.
I think they're just trying to deny the CS as much as possible.
As much as they could.
Get the entire wave down. And as Deficio mentioned, Tabzz and Nyph, they backed away maybe a little early, and it actually cost them a tower. That was basically one wave and a BF Sword Vamp Scepter. So good play by Millenium to at least, reply, getting their first objective of the game, and that was the tower in this case.
And of course, we'll see whether it's Seesaw straight back, because Creaton is backing off here, which means we may see Tabzz and Nyph pushing down. They have good vision of the bottom lane, so there's no reason why they should go straight in there. Jree actually the only man sticking around. They have the Tribush warded, they have the River warded. They may just push for this.
Yeah, I think if Tabzz and Nyph push down the bottom lane, Araneae is going to need to respond to defend the tower. Although Jinx is on his way back, Creaton should get there hopefully in time. Tabzz not necessarily fast pushing super quickly. Kerp has attempted to roam a little bit, But at the moment, he's just getting jumped on. He's found Shook.
He has found Shook. Shook's in all sorts of trouble. He's just getting burst down by Kerp there. One more hit will do it. Kerp takes that one without any problems.
That was just too easy. Shook a little unfortunate to walk into Kerp's roam, and Kerp just pops him. That's part of the reason that LeBlanc is, so popular right now with these squishier champions that we're seeing in other roles. She has more targets to just insta-give down. And as long as Kerp's in the right place at the right time, like we said, most impressive LeBlanc from last week.
Deathbush lives up to his name and takes another victim. All square, 1 kill apiece, and at the moment, looking like Froggen may be the focus.
Yeah, Froggen's going to get caught by the Skyfall.
Skyfall's going to jump in. He should be able to get a stun. No, Flash immediately burned by Froggen. Knew the damage. Didn't want to get caught out by that quick burst.
And there's 2 reasons that Araneae keeps focusing the mid lane. Froggen already has a 37 CS lead over Kerp. And if Froggen doesn't have his Flash available, he cannot afford to keep Kerp playing defensively. He cannot afford to push the lane and wave clear. So this is actually trying to get Kerp more relevant and trying to get Kerp back into the game. So I like the decision making, but what it means is Kevin is going to fall further behind, and most likely Creaton and Jree if they get caught by this Tabzz Nyph burst.
Well, the top lane, we do see Shen returning once again. They've both got Sunfire capes in this top now because we can see Kevin slightly ahead in builds because Wickd hasn't gone back, but it's a 30 CS difference. But now we're at level 11, level 10. What are we starting to see here? Is this going to swing? Is Wickd going to continue bullying Kevin here?
The next Dragon fight's going to be very important. I think Kevin is going to try hold on to his stand united until that engagement takes place, and I'm anticipating Millenium to challenge. Wickd has thrown down Dominus. I think this is just for effective HP in lane, and once again, a Bruiser battle, not exactly the most exciting to see.
Yeah, I think he just simply wanted to shove that lane in. He's pretty much going to back off and buy.
So 2 things. Dragon is going to come up fairly soon. Shook with Tabzz and Nyph want to use Stand United. That's why they're setting up for this gank. This is a repeat. You can see Shook coming in. He's actually just given away his position. This time, however, Araneae is able to counter gank.
Flash Tibbers onto Shook. Shook's taken very low. He's going to get dropped. Jree now. Stand United being used. That's going to save the day. Cologne comes out. Not enough damage. Remember, they have no tower to fall back on. And immediately coming around the side is going to be Kerp. One more hit on towards Nyph. You see Kevin coming in. They feed it across to him. They can finish off on towards Tabzz now. Tabzz running for his life into the bush there. Backs off. That's going to be get away, but that's another 2 for 0 for Millenium. And, well, what a great victory.
Very good indeed. Not only did they manage to get the kills, Kevin interrupted Nyph from getting away. Nyph tried to land the Zenith Blade onto Kerp, and a brilliant taunt just caught him at max range. The rest of Millenium are sticking on this bottom tower, and Araneae is caught out.
The Ignite's going to be enough to take him down. Froggen will get the revenge kill, and the mid lane tower is actually taken very low, but look at that. Millenium just hammer down that inner turret in seconds.
Yeah, if Froggen had stuck around on this next wave, he may be able to get the mid tower, but very well played by Wickd. He's replied up in the top. The fact that Kevin has spent a fair chunk of his time out of this lane has allowed Wickd to take it down, and he's just sticking in this lane trying to extend this gold lead. I think Wicked's going to play the split push game with his Renekton.
Well, Spirit Visage being built up by him, he did of course back off, and as he mentioned, towers falling all over the map right now. Still a 2,000 gold advantage. Dragon up in 1 minute, but we see Shook jumping on towards Jree. Already used that stun. He's going to have to use that ultimate to try and close that gap, but again, hasn't got the pace. Already used his leap to get into it. Possibly a mistake from Shook.
Just not enough burst, really, to shut down Jree. He does have a fair amount of effective HP, and it worked out in his favor. Kerp's gone on Froggen.
Froggen's going to be in trouble. He's got no flash available. He's going to get locked up. Quick Grand Skyfall from Araneae. He takes the kill.
So very well played by Millenium once again. It's just constant focus on Froggen. They're trying to throw him off his game a little bit. A little bit of a battle for the white, which Kevin wins. And I think Araneae, Kerp, and maybe the rest of Millenium realizing that Froggen struggled last week, and I think they're trying to push him on the back foot, trying to make him tilt a little bit in this game, and that's the first time it's worked out of 3 attempts.
And the thing is, for Alliance, Froggen is the main shot caller. He's the captain of the team, so if he's starting to go on tilt, is he going to have the confidence, the discipline to focus on what is happening?
Even better, well, what Alliance are doing. 20 seconds until Dragon's up. Wicked's come down. There's no Stand United. There's no Grand Skyfall. Alliance are going to have the advantage in the Dragon fight that could happen because they've got a better position, a better grouping. The question is, how will they play this one out? Because if they hesitate, if Millenium challenge, I think Alliance need to all in to get a kill, or rush this down very quickly. Kevin's going to be here very late. And Alliance, they're dilly-dallying way too much. They're wasting time.
Yeah, they were scared. They lost the pink ward. They had no vision in the bush just above. Now already you see Kevin down there. And they can actually keep the focus. Look at the position they've got. They can keep pushing the middle tower, which is what Kevin's doing. Fantastic stuff. And again, this is the shot calling. This is the discipline that Alliance were lacking in week 1.
Somebody needs to pull the trigger now. Now that Millenium have the advantageous position on Dragon, Alliance either need to win a fight or they need to give up the Dragon. They cannot try to do both. Dragon's been started by Millenium, and I think the Solar Flare from Nyph or a Flash Tabzz from Jree, there's no actual Flash available, so Jree's position is going to be very, very key. Now Millenium have decided they want blue buff. It's just this little chess game of who's going to get what.
Well, they're trying to steal it away. They do get it. It's Creaton that ended up with that blue buff. And now Alliance with them all stacked up. It's sitting like a juicy target. Jree with that stun locked and loaded. Going to be tanking out. The Dragon's been pulled out here. Alliance are going for it.
Yeah, I think Alliance need to start with a Solar Flare. If Millenium group for a couple more hits, that's got to be the go signal. They're waiting for Dragon to get lower before they engage, and they will open up with that Solar Flare. Millenium, they're too scared. They're backing away. There's the Solar Flare.
There's going to be Solar Flares. Creaton, they lock on towards it. It's going to be Nyph and Wickd diving on towards him. Has to use that barrier. Shook jumps on. Stand United. Look at the giant shield. It opens straight away. And now Froggen, he has to back out there because we saw Kerp diving on towards him. Wickd being that big shield in the front. They're going to try and turn this one around. Oh, Nyph not landing that stun. That could be critical. And everybody having to step away. Grand Skyfall coming out the backside. Froggen's going to have to run away from this one. Quickly pulls that defensive ball and runs for his life. Still no Dragon picked up. Millenium is sticking around.
Yeah, they've traded 1-for-1. Mid laner for jungler, and I think a little bit sloppy. You could call out specifics. Dragon's been started, and Alliance are not giving this one up. They don't want to let it go. Nyph doesn't get the Zenith Blade.
Zenith Blade missing means they will back away. We can see the quick cork being popped by Creaton. And that surely means everyone will step off. Of course, the two people that died, which was Kerp and Shook, have both respawned. They're both heading back to this dragon fight.
Yeah, and both of them are players that have to jump in and get in your face. So I think both teams played that fairly well. Now that there's full HP members from Alliance here, Millenium need to give this one up. I think Araneae may want to try steal. He's got his flash almost available. No, it's going to be taken. I think that's a smart call from Millenium not to challenge when they were forced backwards.
Alliance take it. Kerp looking to try and get a quick burst onto Froggen. Does get the ignite down. Didn't land the leash. That's not going to be enough. Pulls the defensive ball. He should be safe. Yes, he is. Walks away with about 100 hit points.
Froggen once again surviving the damage from Kerp thanks to his flash. His flash prevented those ethereal chains from landing. That would have been the damage that killed him. And that was a great play by Alliance. You know, they did the dance, and you could actually see both teams who were tentative and nervous around that dragon. They didn't want to go in. They didn't want to mess up so badly. They managed to get away from it. This is actually a replay of the fight, and you have to give props to Wickd and Nyph. They zoned out so many members of Millenium and almost got Creaton down. If it weren't for that stand United, Creaton would have definitely died, and then probably Alliance could have closed out more. So, you know, good play from both teams. I also just want to touch on the fact that we did see Kerp stealing red buff while we're watching this replay. And I think the smarter decision from Millenium was not re-engaging once Alliance's members came back with full HP.
Well, it's going to be the second blue buff being taken away. That will be Kerp picking that one up. Of course, they did take it away from Froggen in the enemy jungle as well. So now down the bottom here, Jree using that sweeper to clear out. Nyph was looking to try and get that stun down. On towards Jree. They still haven't taken this bottom turret. They're 4-man stacked down here. Surely Millenium have to step away from this.
Yeah, Solar Flare's available, and look at Nyph. I thought he was going to go in from the side, decided just to get the vision. Millenium can't defend this without committing Grand Skyfall and Stand United. I think they're just going to give it up. Smart decision from Millenium. They couldn't have got there quickly enough.
Yeah, Kerp is here. He's going to get spotted out by the Water Alliance. Going to be well aware that he's going to be potentially close to that tri-bush. They were setting up to maybe hope that Kerp made a mistake. Not going to happen. So top lane, two big bullies going on, still back and forward. It's actually only a 20 CS difference right now because you can see Kevin with that Sunfire Cape is starting to claw it back a little. This time he has Stand United available if Millenium were to chase.
Yeah, and I really just want to touch on the two items quickly for these top laners. The Spirit Visage has 10% less cooldown reduction in this patch, and the Sunfire Cape has had its damage lowered at the lower levels. As opposed to just being 40 flat, It's now 25 plus relative character level. And it's just a little string. Oh, that's an all-in!
Flash Timbers, Grand Skyfall, everything onto Froggen. Froggen taken so low, but he steps away. The Wolf may be enough. The Wolf takes him down at the back there. The Culling coming out, not really landing. And now Tabzz is in trouble. He has to flash away. Kevin continued to chase. He's going to have that stun up available. Dominus is going to run out in a moment. Wickd's in trouble. He gets locked up. He's going to go down. Not enough he can do about it. Araneae lives as well. Ignite Ticket will take him down, but it's a minimal victory. And it's going to be a Millenium pushing through and taking the tower.
2 for 1, and look at those HP bars from Millenium. They have so much to work with right now. They should be able to get both of these mid turrets before backing away. Alliance are trying desperately to heal off, and that was just the power of their composition. Grand Skyfall plus Stand United allowed them to just jump on Alliance, catching me completely off guard. I had no idea that was going to happen. You just look at the combo completely. Great play from Kerp, jumping in from the side and forcing Froggen backwards. The Wolf, I think, was being done by Wickd. That actually killed him. That last auto attack was just enough. And very good play from Millenium to chase down the members of Alliance to eventually close up multiple kills.
So it was a great fight for Millenium, and that actually puts them in the lead now. You can see gold-wise, still behind, but 7 and 4 in kills, 4 and 3 in towers. Objectives are what count, and honestly, 1,000 gold at this stage, not as big a difference as it would be, say, in the 10-minute stage. So 24 minutes in, it's starting to look very good for Millenium. Their team play seems to be working. And let's have a quick grasp across the items, because they're starting to develop all manner of...
Interestingly, a Hex Drinker here from Araneae. He's scared of the magic damage burst from only Froggen. It's a little bit of a unique pick. We'll see if he gets some additional, effective HP, maybe upgrading to the Maw of Malmortius. But the one thing that I want to touch on that fight really quickly is that Alliance had done a great job up till that point of baiting out the Skyfall and the Stand United. And I think they maybe just forgot about it a little bit or mistimed it, because it's uncharacteristic to how the rest have played. Kerp, I think he's just trying to zone here. He could go
no, he isn't. He's not zoning because he's got the support of his team. Solar Flare having to be used. The Culling coming out. Nyph does get taken down. Needs the Ignite from Araneae once again, but he's going to get chased. Araneae will get taken down. Quick turn. Shockwave pulls in Jree and Kerp. Kerp goes down. Jree goes down. Jump across from Shook. Doesn't quite land the claws. He's going to chase on towards Kerp. Which one will he go for? Will it be the right one? He is going to get stunned up, locked up, and it is going to be Kerp dashing away. Shook's going to have the jump once again.
Here comes Wickd.
We do see Wickd coming around the side. Good stun once again. Shook's going to have another leap. Look at that.
He got the stun.
And Dice doesn't get the stun down, but the leap comes out from Shook. The claws are in there. They get another kill. A 3-4-1 exchange.
That's a mistake from Kerp. Kerp should have just zoned. He managed to jump in there, and yes, he got a kill, but that wasn't going to be enough. Alliance were able to respond. They were too close. I think Millenium got a little bit greedy on that play. It's allowed Alliance to get further ahead. They've had the gold lead for a while, and they're going to go for Baron. Baron's getting dropped. Super Mega Death Rocket is available from Creaton if he wants to try steal. He's deciding against it right now, and Alliance now 3,000 gold lead plus Baron. They're in the leads.
Finally, it's looking good for Alliance. Can they take their first victory? 0-4 in week 1. The Super Week, this super team thrown together, superstars, all hand-picked by Froggen, who has struggled so hard in week 1, but up against Millenium. Maybe they're going to turn it around. Ironically, they would tie with Millenium at 1 and 4 apiece if they were to take victory here.
Yeah, but they are still a little while away. It was at this period of the game that Alliance really showed all the cracks in their gameplay last week. They tended to get ahead early. This time, however, we're seeing coordinated plays. They're challenging for dragons. They're responding to towers. And what I really like about Alliance's play right now, dragons available. They've got good vision. They have an informed decision where Millenium are. And they've picked another dragon up completely uncontested here, extending that gold lead to roughly 5,000 gold right now.
They are still behind on towers, though. We did just see Kerp shoving on towards that top lane turret once again, getting some damage down on towards it. Wickd is heading up there. So while they have this Baron buff, not really doing a great deal with it. They're simply stopping, blocking off all those lanes. They're probably going to have around about 2-minute gap. You can see it's just under the 3-minute marker right now to actually choose one of those inner turrets to go for. But honestly, I don't see them in a position to do that.
They need to be a little careful, because if they do commit to a tower, they need to make sure they don't get jumped on or flanked by the Pantheon Ultimate and the burst of the LeBlanc. And the key to that is going to be even more warding. They need to use those sweeper lenses that they've got, 3 of them for the time being, clearing out all of the wards that Millenium have placed down, and then setting up their own ring of wards.
Well, we just saw 4 members of Alliance pushing through that middle lane. It is going to be 5 members now, and a Millenium had backed off actually briefly. They are all 5 members defending this one. Tabzz gets a couple of shots on towards the turret, but That is all it's going to be, as they have to stand and wait for that conga line of minions to come back in there, quickly being blocked off. Araneae, Kerp, everyone throwing everything at that minion line to make sure they get clean of it, but it is going to be the inner turret for Alliance.
Millenium don't necessarily want to fight while Baron's there, but they have to pick a fight if Alliance get to the inhibitor turret. They're starting to fall very, very far behind in gold, which would mean the power of that all-in of LeBlanc, Pantheon, Shen is going to be mitigated by the sheer defensive statistics that Alliance could start to generate. If Alliance wanted to defend, oh, that's a lot of damage. They can't do it now.
They can't do it. The Mimic was pulled out from Kerp. He's passive there, has to back straight away from that one. And are they going to keep on pushing through here? They know that the mid lane is not going to be there. It's going to be a 4v5. They've got a small window of opportunity here.
I don't think Millenium are going to be able to jump on them just yet. Because of the fact that they need to basically flank with that Pantheon and LeBlanc, when they're defending on this area of the map, it has to be like a flash Tabzz. Decent damage, but the chain didn't land, so you didn't get that secondary proc of Sigil, and you actually see Tabzz just gets away. Still unkilled. Much better performance from Tabzz and Nyph in the mid-game, in their 5th game here in the LCS.
Solid performance, but again, Millenium have that decision to make. There's a big conga line of minions all coming in. Grand Skyfall coming out, they're going to go for it. Who are they going to be focusing on? Looks like it's going to be Wickd, not really the target they should be looking towards. The Cologne coming out, and quickly Millenium have to step away from that one. The regen of Baron working out well. The Chomper's getting thrown down, and it's going to be the 3rd inner turret for Alliance with this Baron buff.
Yeah, the flash Tabzz from Jree had 0 impact there. He only managed to catch Wickd. Araneae landed from the Pantheon ultimate and walked away. Shockwave is still up here for Froggen and Alliance. They're keeping the siege on. Creaton's doing the best he can to defend by killing the minions, but it's not enough.
Well, they've taken half the hit points off that turret already. There's top and minion middle lane all being pushed in. Wickd tanking out that turret. Kerp once again taking a burst of damage. Takes a yet more damage from Tabzz. Has to back away. It's a 4v5 brief defense on the tower.
Now, tower is most likely going to go down once these minions arrive. Alliance are sticking around. Now, remember, Shockwave is still there. If Millenium group up, Alliance can drop them down. And again, just an evolution of the Alliance gameplay. They take the tower. They don't have Baron. They don't want to fight a 5v5, so they back away. I really like this play.
Clean decision-making seems to finally be working for Alliance there. The moment the Baron buff was about to finish, they stepped away because they knew Millenium would just go straight for it. So Millenium, they're on cleanup duty now. They have an exposed inhibitor down that bottom lane. All the middle and top lane have to be pushed out, and that's exactly what Creaton's doing.
And that was brilliant usage of that Baron buff. They secured themselves 4 towers. They basically got a couple ultimates down from Millenium as well. And they've backed away, spent their money, increased their item pickups. And what you're noticing between Araneae and Shook is this is just all-out damage. Last Whisper, as well as the Elder Lizard, as well as a Hex Drinker, completed for Shook. He really wants to get the reset and carry on causing havoc in the back line.
And Kerp, meanwhile, standing in that bush, he's hoping that maybe Nyph's going to go up there, try and ward out that buff, but he's not going for it. None of them are going for it. All of Alliance going down the bottom. Kerp is just wasting time in that bush.
Yeah, at this point in time, Millenium don't have the vision to make informed decisions. They've got a couple of wards deep on this red buff area, and I think they're about to spot members of Alliance out. If Nyph carries on this path, he may actually get taken out himself. But I think Millenium need to invest in a little bit more wards, try to get some more defensive positions, and then use their ability to react quickly with those ultimates to kill somebody and push backwards. Alliance right now, they've got positional advantage. Araneae wants to come from the side. Look how far up he is. He will use that Grand Skyfall.
He desperately wants to jump onto this one, but I'm not sure if it's going to be the right move. He's going to go for it. Wickid's the one at the front, and he should be. And immediately, Nyph goes straight in. Solar Flare catching on Kevin and Jree. The damage all being absorbed by Nyph and Wickd, and that's exactly what they wanted. Shook comes jumping around. Stand United being burst out there. Kerp tried his best to get on the back line towards Tabzz, but it's not happening. And Froggen comes in. He takes him down, and they are just cleaning up the Millenium teams now. Shockwave pulls Creaton down there. Creaton do what he can to get out towards Froggen, but it's not happening. Alliance clean sweep through Millenium. It's a 3-0.
That's the game. They've got a minion wave here as well, and they've got enough damage to take the Nexus turrets down. A great fight for Alliance. Wickd and Nyph destroying the Millenium background.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. This is going to be the first victory for Alliance. They are going to get a win in the European LCS. No longer will they be the only team to have a deficit on their records. 1 of 4, Froggen leads his team to victory.
What a